Hey, we're here today. Ditching CEO. We're in our upper 60s of episodes, and we've got a great Chicagoland guy here, an entrepreneur. Matt, welcome to our show, Ditch Digger CEO. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Gary.
Welcome to our show, buddy. We interview entrepreneurs from all over the country, and we try to find people that lead their industries, that are passionate about the industries they lead, and people that understand the value of free markets and free enterprise, and actually, care about continually supporting, the world of entrepreneurship as well as free markets and freedom and all that. So I've got, we had a lot of great people on this show, and you're one of them now, and I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me, Gary.
So you have a recruiting business. I like the name Hirewell. That's a simple name that says exactly what you do, huh?
Yep, that's what we try to do. We started with something a little bit clunkier. It was human capital management solutions. We rebranded 10 years ago, and it was definitely one of the better moves we made. So,
and is your how long have you been in business now?
Gosh, so it's been roughly 20 years. So it's been an interesting and kind of long run, but it's been exciting.
And tell us a little bit about yourself, as far as family, kids, the startup of your business.
Yeah, sure. So as you said, I'm born and bred in Chicago, went to University of Illinois, I guess Chicago suburbs. I did live in the city for about 15 years or so, but kind of back in the northwest suburbs now. I went to University of Illinois. That's where my wife went. We met post-college. We've got a couple kids, 14, 15 years old. So, kind of dealing with some teenagers at home. So I started Hirewell, 20 years ago. So it's been quite a wild ride. First 10 years, we started off as a pure play technology recruiting firm. Then we started to grow after those first 10 years and moved into what I consider like a full service kind of boutique, talent solutions provider, search firm. Then really over the last year or so, we made kind of another sort of big switch and kind of, growth. We took some growth capital about a year ago to invest in technology, to, invest in M&A. And so we've grown. We're now upwards of, 200 people, globally, people in, I think 4 different continents. But, that's roughly 150 people in the US, and then, the rest in Europe or Asia. It's been an interesting ride. We've invested heavily in technology and software. We have a couple kind of software companies within the recruiting space that, support our team, but then we also sell those products directly to our clients. So, our goal behind all this is I've been in recruiting and talent solutions for a while. But the goal has really been to disrupt an industry that's, fragmented and is something that is, a lot of companies struggle with. And it's, an area we think is, ripe for disruption.
No doubt about it. I mean, you look at today and, hiring people and finding the people the right fit for your culture and your core values. It's not always easy, right? I mean, it's a difficult thing, and you need a partner in recruiting and how we call them headhunters and recruiters that actually know your company and understand what you're looking for, right? How do you guys differentiate and disrupt this fragmented industry? When you think about, a company like ours, like we have 13 little companies, and from small to mid-sized companies, we might have 500 or 550 total employees. We don't lose a lot of people, but we continue to grow. And then we do have probably a 5% replacement. I'm guessing 5 to 10% that fall off on an annual basis. I'm guessing. So for us, it's a tough part of our business is finding the right people. How do you guys guide and assist companies like ours, or different industries probably than ours?
Yeah, no, as we've grown, we really try to take a consultative approach and partner with our clients. That can be everything from, one-off executive search to find a key leader for, either an existing business or kind of a new, sort of business unit for companies, as well as sort of building the teams around that person, provide people a lot of kind of volume hiring initiatives. So companies need to hire 5, 10, 50 people over, kind of a short period of time, and recognize they need a partner to sort of, facilitate or augment their existing team. We also provide what we call like outsourced recruiting, or, we call it on-demand recruiting, where, we'll put one of our team members, basically embed them into a company's, hiring function. They could sort of take over the whole hiring process or, work alongside their existing recruiting team. And just, again, with the concept of, hey, we've got a great group of people. They're experts at this. We spend, quite a bit of money on technology. We have a great process built, and, hiring people's hard. I mean, it's frankly been a challenging market to hire for, quite a while, really the last 10 years straight. And it's, the number of people in the workforce seems to be shrinking for a variety of reasons. And so to find top talent it's tricky. And so, I think for companies that recognize, hey, this is how we're going to win, this is how we're going to be effective, like they recognize they need great people, and they either need to spend a lot of money to build that function in-house, or they need a great partner to help them do it.
So you guys will do either or. Will you build a function in? Will you take companies and build out that kind of department, that hiring department then?
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing we do. I mentioned we started off as a technology recruiting firm at first. That's still the biggest area we do. But probably the second biggest is, we call it our HR and talent recruiting practice, where we help, everything under, like from a CHRO to, heads of talent acquisition. We'll help companies hire those people. We'll help people hire individual recruiters. So this year we probably, placed 200 people within that function. So CHROs, heads of HR, heads of people, heads of talent acquisition, corporate recruiters. It's kind of how we like to work with companies. We love partnering with kind of early stage growth companies that are growing. So like their needs for talent change. So sometimes it's kind of onesie twosie people, which we can help them with. And then if they hit a certain point where they realize, all right, we need to build this function in house, we help them do it. It's been a pretty volatile market, as you can imagine, over the last couple of years. And coming out of COVID, companies, were really cut back on their internal recruiting. So then they need to rely on firms like us to help them to augment it. Then they built up, kind of these large internal recruiting departments. And unfortunately, now that hiring has slowed a little bit, we're seeing, unfortunately, those roles get cut, at a disproportionate number. So, I think companies realize, hey, we still need to hire kind of specific people. So we're able to help them there and do it that way.
And so when I think about recruiting that we've hired out here and there, it doesn't seem a lot like what you're talking about, right? They'll basically send us people. We'll tell them what type of positions we're looking for. They'll send us person after person, and they'll follow up. They'll be kind of part of it. But I've never heard anybody that does what you're doing. Is this the big differentiator between you and others in the industry?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, there's a lot of recruiters out there. I mean, there's throw a ball down the street and you probably hit two recruiters along the way. It's a very, there's a lot of people that do it. And I think, there's some that are great and then there's some that are not so great. And I think taking a little bit more of that high level, high touch approach, I think really helps us differentiate. I mean, this year I was looking at our kind of yearly totals. I think we helped 450 clients hire, in excess of 2,000 people. And so it's some pretty large numbers. But, and those are places we worked with for 3, 5, 10 plus years. And so, I think it just by spending the time to really understand our clients, understand what they're looking for, we ultimately just become an extension of them. And, and it takes a little bit of a change in mindset for companies where you realize, hey, this is something where I need to make sure I get the right best people in, and I need to invest in a partnership versus just, being seen as another vendor. And I think that's what we really work hard to separate ourselves from.
I agree with you 100%, Matt. And our growth in our businesses have been because of that exact same thing. There's thousands and thousands of people that do what we do, pave parking lots and do the work we do in concrete and asphalt, right? But we chose to really understand the engineering of our industry and then consult on the right mix designs and the right engineering and help our customers make long-term decisions on maintaining large portfolios, right? Kind of the same thing. No, that turned into you're in YPO, you said?
Yes.
Which chapter are you in?
Chicagoland.
Okay, so my son Austin's in Windy City, where I started. I was in Windy City. I think I got into 19 years ago. Now I'm in Chicagoland.
Gold.
YPO Gold and Heartland Gold. I'm at like 3 chapters, but anyway, it's been a valuable network to be part of, as I hope you're finding out. But when I look at the most successful business models back when I joined, right, it was those that were consulting and really leading their customers when it comes to delivering technology, leading their industries, delivering technology that their competition didn't invest in. So I kind of followed that a lot more than I did prior. And it really brought me to, our industry lacked engineering. You'd have to go pay for engineering if you had a paving company that was going to do work for you. They didn't do much engineering. Go find somebody, basically, is what anybody told them, and me included. Eventually, I said, I got to find better, the best engineers I can find in the world, give them to my customers, and then consult to them to make better decisions. And we did that. That was the late 90s. And then more recently, we started giving away engineering across the country 12, 15 years ago to the biggest building owners in the country. And then 7 years ago, I turned to my son, Austin, who's a YPR today, who really formulated a technology business where we use drones and artificial intelligence to do that consulting everywhere originally it was everywhere in the country. Now it's everywhere across the globe. And that business, or that product or service, spun into a business by itself. And that business is our fastest growing company that actually needs help from you. We'll talk about that later, but we're growing fast. We need to hire.
My ears.
We got to hire a lot of people right now. We've got maybe 30 people on that team, and we're going to need another 70 to 100 in the next year as we're growing super fast. But we need technology, project management, leadership, a lot of different positions in that company. So we'll talk about that. And you have to meet my son, Austin. You'll like him. He's probably right around your age, maybe a hair younger than you, but good guy.
Right.
But either way, same thing. It sounds like you're doing the same thing. You're becoming your customer's trusted advisor first. Yeah. And with that, relationships happen, right? Whether it's you placing somebody, helping them place somebody in their business, or you being the recruiting company that recruits for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Is it just one company that does either or right now, Matt?
Yeah. We it's all under. I mean, we made a couple acquisitions, so we operate under essentially 4 brands now. It's Triton Exec is our executive search arm. Hirewell does kind of everything from VP down to kind of volume hiring. We have Rainmakers, which is it's a firm we bought that is a talent marketplace for sales professionals. So that's kind of the digital sort of version of what we do. And then the fourth company portfolio is Sourcewell, which is a technology product that helps sort of automate the finding of talent via AI and machine learning. But Hirewell is kind of the major brand. So,
and are they 4 different LLCs though, or are they divisions within Hirewell?
Well, they're all kind of under the same kind of talent ecosystem we're building under Hirewell. Yeah. Okay.
And so I did initially for the first 20 years, I did kind of that. I had divisions within my company. And then eventually I found that I had more success for me, and my friends do it. My friends that do it the way you're talking and the way I used to do it, friends that do it my way. But I've been spinning out companies with basically new LLCs that basically take on a service that we found success in. And then we have a general manager that turns into if he or she is successful, turns into a president or CEO as they grow it, to expose that business, that service to the market under our sales team, our accounting team. They basically use our back office and all that. But we found success in having those individual companies excel, create value. If they need to raise money or do anything, they can do that, and then use the shared services to be leaner, meaner, and feel like a big company fast. So a new company that does a couple million the first year for us will feel like $100 million company because they've got the backup of our back offices that manage over 250 million of businesses, right? So sounds like you right now you're in that mode, and maybe that's where you stay. I've seen my friends have the best luck doing that. As long as they can peel one division off to sell it as a company, and the books are clean and clear, they can do that, right? People find different ways of doing that in their own industries and personally what's best for them, right? That's interesting. So you're currently doing kind of like 4 divisions, and a customer can choose they like one or the other or all of them. Right?
Yeah. The way they're all selling to the same kind of general person, which could be a business owner, could be a head of HR, could be a head of talent. But they do slightly different things. So there's overlap, but it becomes sort of each is like a slightly different solution that can be sold. So the idea is, we want to have kind of a solution for everybody when it comes to recruiting and talent and hiring. And so it could be, partner with us to do it all, partner with us kind of for this one key senior level role, use us to build out a division, or start using our tools and technology to do it yourselves. If you think you have the internal function built, but you just need a little bit of help. So.
What's crazy, right, is when you do these things like you're doing, in some ways, people on the outside will say, "Hey, Matt, you're cutting off you're cutting off some of your business and your opportunity by giving them this more efficient thing that costs them less money, right?" But if you're smart, like you're saying, yes, but if I can scale that technology, maybe it costs less, but I can scale it globally. Way better value for you personally and the marketplace, right?
Yeah, and sure. And we when we made our first switch, we used to just do technology recruiting, right? And then we started an HR practice where we'd help our companies hire internal recruiters and build that out. And a lot of companies don't want to do that because it helps companies stop using you. But the fact is, they're going to stop using you regardless. If they're committed to going a different direction, you might as well help them get there versus let somebody else do it. It's sort of our philosophy. So, you create a stronger long-term relationship by not only selling one thing and not being able to help companies through their journey as they evolve. So
I love it. I think it's you're on the right track. And we found, initially we were apprehensive in doing that. Nowadays, we not only will build a concrete or asphalt parking lot anywhere in America, all right, we'll also project manage one for a customer using other people, or we'll do one phase but not all of it, or we'll just consult to them and tell them what they got, what they need to do, and basically lay out the specifications on what to do, right? So we'll do one of 4 or 5 different things for a customer, and we find that gives them options as you're doing, right? Gives them options, and they don't feel pressured either way from you to do one or the other. We're one of the only companies in the country that pave concrete or asphalt, and it will engineer both and all that. Well, some people will say we're kind of the Benedict Arnold of asphalt pavers because we do a lot of concrete paving, and at first that wasn't common that anybody did that, and now we do that everywhere in the country. And again, same way for you, people could say, "Matt, you're crazy, man. You're ruining this business by giving them that business."
Yeah.
But no, actually, if you're serving that customer and the customer, talks about, the excellence you provide, you're not losing. And how often is that CHRO become a relationship that basically it relies on you in the future, right? Because they trust you, they know you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And we went through, we had a company-wide meeting. So we had, roughly 110 people that made it into Chicago last week. And we were just trying to explain to our team, the vision of why we do that and how, we don't need we're going to do, upwards of, 50 million in revenue this year. And that's with no real sales force, right? It's all just kind of relationship sales and leveraging off kind of what we have. And then you just, you could hire an army of kind of BDRs and they couldn't replicate what we have because you can't beat those relationships. And as you said, when you the head of HR and you've worked with that person for 5 or 10 years, you can't get that person on the phone these days. But if they know who you are, they'll talk to you and they hopefully come to you, proactively. Absolutely.
Now, what division or what part of your business do you feel like has the most opportunity for growth in the coming, 3 to 5 years?
It's a good question. I mean, honestly, the short answer is it's sort of almost all of it. But I will speak to kind of one area that's a newer thing, and it's probably a little bit more applicable to your world. Again, as I said, we started with pure technology. We've always kind of done more the corporate functions, so everything from sales, technology, HR, marketing, finance, and accounting. But we'd always done quite a bit in supply chain and manufacturing and distribution, but we never really branded it its own thing. And but it's become this $1 million business underneath kind of the umbrella. So we're formalizing it. We've really been formalizing over the last 6 months and rolling that out. And and it's interesting that the diversity of services and offerings helps us, and that's an area where the job market is still really tough and companies are struggling to hire. And the area you talked about would fall under that, where, all right, so big tech companies have slowed down hiring, or, different things have slowed down hiring. But, the fact is unemployment is still 3.7%. There's just a shortage of people out there. So, it's not really always, it's not as sexy as like, software or tech, but it's in places that, pay well, need good people and need help. And we're excited to kind of really expand, further into it.
Absolutely. When you started this business, what gave you the idea? The idea that you could be an entrepreneur and start something? What motivated you to think you could do it?
Well, I wish it was a better story than it is. So I was in recruiting. I hadn't done it for very long, and like obviously this will date myself a bit, but back the .com boom days of the late '90s, early 2000s, I was had just gotten into recruiting and was doing pretty well, and kind of as well as we were doing, it was clear the industry was falling apart when the .com crash hit, because that was very much the space we were in, and my company went out of business. And so, I was 25 years old and didn't have a lot of options. And I'd either get out of the recruiting industry or start my own company. So I'm like, all right, I'll start my own. And, with a couple other folks. And, so it was a pretty lean couple of years because it was a really, really tough market. But, we persevered, we got through it. And, it took a little longer. The journey to get where we wanted to go was longer than, anticipated, but it worked out. So
you started with yourself and a couple of friends, or tell us about that start, what that looked like. And how old? You were 24 or 5 years old, you said?
Yeah. When I was 25, 26. It was, just people I went to college with. It was all people kind of, we'd been in the industry before. Those have kind of, peeled off through the years, but yeah, it was, I think it's a little easier to start. It's really hard to start on your own, right? If you're just one person with an idea, like, God bless, but I think it's a really tough, kind of path to travel. So, starting with a few people, you all sort of, you're not exactly on the same page, but you're all kind of going in the general direction of just hustling to try to, find clients, find business, get things going and kind of get things moving. And then, just it like I said, by, kind of a couple of years into it, we started to get some traction, started to hire a few people, and then off we were.
Awesome. Now, had you seen success in entrepreneurs before? Were there people in your life, mentors, or anybody else that you saw?
My dad's an attorney, but he'd had his own practice forever. So yeah, I think that helps. Not being scared of it. I think that's probably it's like I don't know. I think I just kind of the right level of stubbornness where if I'm going to do something, I'm going to just do it till it works. And so I think that's kind of the key thing. It's sure, I'd love to have the best idea in the world. If you don't have the best idea in the world, at least just work really hard and outwork everyone else. And that's just kind of been the philosophy.
That's the key, really, right? I mean, if you like working hard, you'll work through any major problems in the long run. Yeah. If you love your industry, if you're passionate about the industry you're serving, the people you're serving, the people that are on your team that you need to make sure have jobs in the future, right? I mean, it's all those things will drive you if you really care. Yeah. If you're not passionate about an industry, then get out of it, because none of that stuff works out too well.
Yeah. And that's been, if I think about kind of we've hit a few inflection points in the company, and, our leadership team, I mean, there's, effectively kind of, sort of 6 of us kind of on the core leadership team, and then another, 5 that were just promoted, or 4 that were just promoted a partner. I mean, they've all collectively been with us for, I think the most recent hire has been here, I think 6 years. The longest tenure has been with me 17 years. So it's a group that it helps having that really strong leadership team who are bought in, just phenomenal what they do, able to execute, able to drive business, helping kind of set the direction and strategy. So it's, I've been fortunate enough to have a great team to really help, progress what we're doing.
So anything you guys use when it comes to strategy and vision and build, stuff to keep your team on course? What do you guys look at?
So it's interesting, we've been doing this for 20 plus years, and, I started my career in consulting. So I feel like I've, kind of got that process mindset, but also not always the most structured. So for the longest time, it's all sort of kind of self-built. I think one thing we've recognized over the past 6 months is, we have some pretty ambitious growth plans and really looking to, double or, triple this thing over the next, 5 years. And so we need more process. We need more structure. So actually very early in the stages with EOS. Just did kind of the first 2 meetings, but entrepreneurial operating system. I've been referred to it, and did a decent amount of research on kind of other things like that, and talking to a few integrators. But I'm excited about kind of what that's going to do for us.
So who's the visionary in your businesses? Who's the visionary? Who's the operational mind, or the driver, and who's the visionary?
I mean, it's the hard part is, I think the mistake I made is I played too many of those roles for too long. So that's sort of what we're, I think I did both, and I think I did both pretty well, but also have some, if you look at the breakdown of what the key skills are, I think I'm really half of each,
Yeah.
But I think that's sort of so as we kind of go through this, we're, as I said, a couple of the key leaders are taking on some of those roles and really just kind of better defining our structure. I mean, if you looked at our org structure, especially 6 months ago, it was a bit of a mess. We built a great team, but the org chart was just kind of it's just,
yeah.
So,
but you're probably an organization that titles don't mean as much as some organizations, right? I mean, we've got that way too. We're not into titles too much, although we have titles because people want to know who you are, what you do. But we don't talk about them that much, and we're not into them much. But you kind of have to have some organizational structure when it comes to that chain of command and all that. And we started EOS probably 6 or 7 years ago. We still use it today. And it's actually a good way to look at things, right? Because oftentimes the visionary, and I'm more visionary, gets caught in operations and execution, spends a lot of time in, and they're not passionate about it, and they get dragged down.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that are great at executing in operations are asked to be visionaries too, and they're maybe not very comfortable doing it. So to figure that out is important for sure. And then getting the both sides. And we got one CEO of ours that's really spectacular at both, and does a great job on both sides of it. But he's definitely more passionate about the vision side, and now has a person that's executing more on the operation side than he was. And he's more comfortable. He's happier with that, right? But again, identifying that, where's your passion, who's passionate about each is important. And once you get that straight, I believe that you can. You'll get more people to buy into your plan when the visionary is challenged by the leadership team and your partners, right? And then on the operations side, when that person that's in charge of operations execution of the plan, it has to bounce it off of the visionaries and everybody else. You get buy-in again, right? And once there's buy-in on all sides, go forward and things work out pretty well. So our growth has been crazy in the last 5-6 years. And I think a lot of it's due to the organizational structure and how we changed and actually use EOS to help on that side. So that's funny you're using it too, because there are more and more people are using it. But I think it's going around the YPO network a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good luck with that. If you ever need help on that, or you want to bounce stuff off of our leaders, our CFO is very strong on the operational side. He oversees all our company's financials, and Austin, our CEO, oversees a lot of the visionary along with me, and it's a lot of fun when you get people to roll in the same direction,
right?
Instead of who I used to be, the visionary who just told everybody we're going to do and had this great vision. I'm really pumped up and excited about it, and people just kind of nodded their head, but half of them were saying you're crazy. There's no way it's going to happen, and therefore they probably weren't rolling the same direction at any time. So you're kind of pulling them along instead of them really pushing.
Yeah.
And I think we have that today more than ever. So that's pretty cool. When you look at when you think about YPO, what do you get out of that you might not have otherwise? And what have you found that's been a blessing to you since being in YPO, and how long have you been in?
4 years now, I think. So it's been a good amount of time. I wish I joined sooner, honestly, but it's been great. I mean, it's a great combination of people, exposure, kind of just what you see, what you do. I mean, obviously the events are phenomenal, and those are a lot of fun. But I think just the people you get to meet and the things you get to see and do, are truly unique, right? And so like, it's pushed me in a variety of ways, which I think is exciting. And just being able to, everybody talks about like forum and the values of that, of like, getting to know and like having that peer group outside of business that you can truly open up to. It's hard, I'm someone who internalizes a lot. So it's nice to have others who, they may not know your business perfectly, but they're, everybody's dealing with the same stuff, right? It's all, it's, like life's hard. There's a lot of challenges and so it's just kind of nice to be able to talk about things, strategize about things and really kind of bounce those ideas off of people.
Absolutely. And what I found was, I actually like to network and find mentors and mentor other people. I think there's no better place to engage in all that than YPO. And I think people can do it otherwise too. I've mentored some of my friends that aren't qualified to be in YPO to build their own kind of little board or their own forum, right? Of people they respect, people that they can aspire to be like if they want, or aspire just to be within their top 10, group of friends, and it works out, right? But YPO gives you that kind of an unfair advantage, in my opinion, in that you can reach out across the globe to people in your industry or outside your industry, or just people you want to meet and talk to and share experiences with. So for me, it's been amazing, and I'd recommend anybody to get engaged in the board and lead. When you're leading YPOers on top of just being part of it, you'll get that much more out of it. It's incredible. And so I'm not sure if you got on the board yet or anything like that, but
I have not. I feel like I know everybody in there is busy, but I just sort of use it as an excuse. Like I feel like I just got too much going on. But I go to meetings. I right now I'm our forum moderator, so planning that stuff I feel like is taken on a life of its own. But it's still like it's been a great thing.
Yeah. So I felt just like you did. So did my son. We both eventually got involved in the board, and it got a lot more out of YPO than we ever imagined. And then in my industry, I got involved in the global board for the construction network. And I'm not sure I bet there's something in your industry too, globally, you can get involved in. That's where I probably picked up the most when it came to innovation and, people really progressing and moving forward the industry of construction and engineering that I'm part of, right? I'm not sure if there's anything like that out there, but globally, when you can network with people in your industry, really driving the industry forward, it's pretty cool when you can be dealing with engineers from in my industry. It was engineers from Germany, Latvia, Israel that really helped me look for and find the best engineering in my industry that I could give to my customers. So,
I assume do you like Patrick Gallagher or Gallagher Asphalt? Patrick's in my forum. I don't know if you know.
They're amazing. His big brother's my buddy. They're Charlie Gallagher. They're great people. Gallagher's are great people. I've known them since I was probably Charlie Gallagher, who's the older brother. I've known him since I was probably in my early 20s. He was in his late 20s, early 30s. Became good friends with them. They're very innovative. They're a great family. So yeah. Make sure you say hi to them. But yeah, before I was in YPO, it was people like Charlie Gallagher that I looked to say, what's he doing, right? How's he doing it? How can I be more like him, right? There's an example of a probably third generation, right, family business that are still cranking, doing great things, pushing the industry forward, and they're a great company. So I tell them I said hi.
Yeah, we'll do.
I said hi.
Yeah.
But either way, and that's the cool thing about YPO or any type of networking, right? When you can meet people that come from old school businesses that are 3 generations old, or like you or I, first generation entrepreneurs, the mix that you can learn from them all is incredible, right? So it's all about how do we surround ourselves with amazing people that can challenge us to get better, right? By sharing their experiences with us, and that's kind of what you're doing right now, dude. Actually. We're picking your brain. You're sharing experiences so that more people can enjoy this entrepreneurial life that we do.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like? What do you feel like is going to challenge you the most in the next 5? When you look at the economy, you look at the job market, you think about everything out there. What keeps you up at night when you think about the future of your industry or business in general?
Yeah, I mean, short term, it is absolutely what's happening in the economy right now. I mean, we last year had a phenomenal year. This year it's been better, but we're seeing softening. So like first half of the year was just on fire. Third quarter, we saw probably like a 10% dip, probably seeing, equal to that, in Q4. Some of that's seasonal. I mean, Q4 tends to be a little bit slower in our world. So it's just, the $1 million question for all of us is like, what the heck's going to happen in 2023? Like, I mean, not to, I don't know if either of us are completely qualified to talk about what the Fed's doing. I don't think they're handling this right. I think they waited too long to start raising rates, and I think they're now raising them too long. And I think they're making this harder than it needed to be. Like, a year ago, they're still trying to say, inflation was transitory, right? Like it clearly wasn't, and they botched that. And now like they're using the labor market as like the proxy, like, unemployment is 3.7%, and they're using that as the issue. But, that's not the issue. There's not enough people working. There's not enough people in the workforce. Labor participation rate is near an all-time low. Whether you want to talk about like immigration at the top end, not having enough H-1B visas, or, at the bottom end, not having enough people for the services, jobs, and different things. There's not enough people working. And so to try to, raise inflation to, kind of squash whatever's happening, or, raise unemployment to squash inflation is just, it's going to, I think it could have a catastrophic effect. So it scares me, and hopefully I'm being too, pessimistic on it. That's just kind of my nature, is always to think of the worst and be prepared for it. But, it's hard to say what's going to happen.
No, I don't think I think you're right on. Unfortunately, I think you're right on. I think they're doing things exactly the way, exactly the opposite of what I've learned, right? I think we incentivize people to work. So the workforce is the labor force is vibrant. And instead of incentivizing people to stay home as we did for so long, which is stupid and ignorant. And then when it comes to the interest rates, I mean, they're raising them way too fast, in my opinion. To think that they're going to slow down inflation with as they raise. Well, if they continue to throw fake money into the marketplace as they're doing, doesn't matter what they do. Where inflation is going to continue to skyrocket even with higher interest rates, in my opinion. So it's a bad combination, in my opinion. And I'm a pretty conservative guy, and I don't like what's going on as an entrepreneur. I think we want free markets to just blossom, and we want America. I want American jobs and American businesses to be the best and strongest in the country, in the world, and I want Illinois to be the strongest market because that's where I'm from in the country. And unfortunately, I believe our state is the worst when it comes to jobs and job creation. Our country is not as competitive as we should be, and we're going to be a lot worse if they continue on the way we're going. So I think business leaders like you and I need to be conscious of it and talk about it, not be shy about it. So I appreciate that you're thinking on the terms you are, because I believe you're right on. Yeah. And I think we have too many of us at YPO, my friends in YPO, and too many of my friends that are very successful that don't want to get in the weeds and talk about this stuff, even though they know, in many cases, they know what's going on is wrong. They don't want to put their neck out there and talk about it. So I talk about it maybe too much. I ran for governor basically on these subjects because I'm bothered at our great state of Illinois being the laughing stock in the country when it comes to our economy, our debt, our unemployment, the way we're treating jobs, and so I'm embarrassed by being the highest taxed in the country, highest regulated environment in the country, and the worst performing, right? Yeah. On so many levels. So for me, that stuff I take seriously, and I think it's people like you that drive this economy. It's young entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs that take risk every day that drive our economy and drive the success of not just our state but our country. So I'm worried as you are a little bit, but I'm going to work my butt off, and my team's going to work our butt off to get through anything that's thrown at us. But there's a lot of great entrepreneurs and businesses that will fall by the wayside that shouldn't, in my opinion, and that's what bothers me. That's what keeps me. I asked you when you answered, but that's what keeps me up at night, right? Yeah. Maybe similar. So, but when you think about your kids, you got two kids, 14, 15, girls, boy, what?
Yeah, one of each 15-year-old boy, and then 14-year-old girl.
All right. And what do you see them at? What are you mentoring them to be besides great human beings?
It's a great question. You want to, like, it's hard as a parent, like you want to push them, but not, in the wrong direction or too hard. And so, it's like, yeah, it's interesting. Like I don't, like my dad didn't, like he pushed me away from being a lawyer, which I was happily chose not to. But then, years and years later, he's like, oh, I wish you'd have come and done this. I'm like, well, you said not to for all those years. So I went a different direction. I don't know if I necessarily want to push either of them to do what I do, but you want, like, I have a unique or kind of an interesting view, because just being in recruiting all these years, like you see what all these other people do. So a lot about, business and kind of where the jobs are. And I think it will be fascinating to see where the jobs are in, 10, 20 years. I think like the world's continually changing what the jobs are, they're going to evolve. And so you want to make sure that they're set up to be successful and kind of be happy and do well. And so, yes, I think entrepreneurialism is a great thing. It's a hard thing to teach. Like I push them to do it, but like, it's not everybody's really wired that way. But I think, I don't know if I was when I was their age either. So it's just kind of pushing them to hustle and work hard and whatever they want to do, just work their hardest at and be successful. So, and be happy.
Yeah. And that, I've had, my friends that do all different things, right? Some friends of mine, they kind of, their stories they tell and the goals they set for their kids kind of guide them into their family business. And then other friends of mine push them away from their family business, right? I never considered myself a family business until some of my kids and family members started coming to work for me, right? But either way, I found I'm blessed that I had a great wife that and myself that believed that we're just gonna promote just living your best life and doing what you're passionate about, right? And so I always talked about what I did in business, and I was excited to come home and talk at dinner time about the fun things I did at work or great things that happened, and then I would also tell them about the bad things that happened, right? When we were struggling in business, or when there's issues, or somebody got hurt in a job or whatever, I'd come home and tell them all the stories, right? And my kids, I didn't think would be interested in my business at all, right? My business, when my kids were young, was a small business and dirty business. I'd come home, I looked like I came out of a garbage dump or whatever. Black hands and asphalt in my fingernails and dusty and dirty, whatever, right? And so I didn't think my kids would be into this thing. But as I continued in business, it grew. We had lots of opportunities, and my kids went to college, not thinking they're going to come back in our businesses. But eventually, there were so many different opportunities for my daughter, who had a business marketing mind, and my son, who had more of an entrepreneurial mind, to get involved. There were so many options for them to get involved that they found after doing other jobs. My son built his own business, and my daughter went to work for other people. But bottom line, either way, they came into the business and with a passion just to serve, and they kind of found their niche within our businesses. But I think if I had told them to stay away, they would have stayed away. If I told them that they must come, they would feel pressured on coming, and all my kids would be involved in business, and probably not the best thing either. So I just feel like if you're passionate about what you do, like as you are, your kids are going to love that. And whether they choose your business or another business, they're going to take that passion into whatever they're going to do. And that, in my opinion, that's the most important thing, that they live a passionate life to serve others and serve God first and family first. And then after that, your customers, hopefully your teammates, if you're blessed enough to have your own business. But so again, I think when you look at life, you just learn from other people's examples, like I'm sure you're doing, paying attention. The best thing we can do is raise great human beings, and I think that's the most important thing we can do. After that, if they're uber successful and wealthy, that's okay. If they're a teacher or a garbage man and they love what they do, that's great as well, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Life's too short to do anything you're miserable doing. So
yeah, for sure.
And when you see placement in jobs too, when you see, I'm sure you see all different values, core values, and in businesses you're placing people in, or values of somebody that's looking for a job that maybe can't find those values. How important do you feel that is? And tell me about your core values and your business and how you guys look at that.
It's interesting. Obviously, values clearly are important. When we were smaller, I never really never thought too much of that, right? Like it was pretty simple. Like just, work hard and don't be an asshole, right? It's sort of what we always talked about. And then, over the past, as we grew, we started to put them together and we talked about, leading with, being, empathetic, high integrity, being resilient, being, just being able to, get the job done, innovative, all these different kind of buzzwords that quite frankly, everybody else sort of talks about. So we are going through, it is obviously part of the EOS process, but, it's sort of an exercise we've talked a lot about over the last, month or two. And there's a pretty good chance we go back to where we originally were, like, work hard, do right by your clients, and don't be an asshole, right? So
I like it. I had a thing that it's even a little more blunt than that, but I have a no dickhead rule in my business. That's not listed in our core values, but basically, we in our businesses we really want people that are passionate about what they do and treat people well and respect other people. And you can't have people that that don't treat other people as well as they want to be treated. It always makes me laugh when some people you'll see out there they treat people terrible, and yet when they're treated bad, they're the worst. The first to cry the loudest, right? And you just can't have that in a good culture. You need great people that care about other people, work hard, and have a passion to carry on. But yeah, funny, but it is simple. It's not that difficult. I mean, and they have 4 or 5 core values. Makes sense if you're talking about an industry and stuff. And we have 5 actually, and they all kind of say the same thing though, right? Accountability is number 1 for us. Safety, safety in our industry is a big deal. So safety is so important for us. But to be passionate about what we do is something we demand. If you're not passionate, then we want to help you find something else, because our customers need to be treated well. And if you're passionate about treating them well, they're going to feel it, right? And delivering exceptional experiences is really important to us, and continuous improvement. So they all kind of say a lot of the same stuff, but you need to drive values, and your EOS system will do that too. So that'll be exciting for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey man, Chris, I got Chris on, our producer, and I always like to finish up Matt with kind of what he's picked up on as far as secrets to success and the coolest things he finds listening on the outside. Chris, what do you got there, brother?
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Matt, for spending some time with us. This was really illuminating. I really enjoyed your perspective on the current state of the economy. You sounded like an economist to me. So I would say, from the outside looking in, you sound pretty qualified to me. But yeah, a lot of great insights to differentiate in the recruiting space. Offer that high level, high touch approach. That'll really help keep those relationships strong. You really stress like relationship sales. I don't think you said this word for word, so I'm paraphrasing, but you said relationship sales will beat any sales force. Basically, you have a giant sales force, but if you have that good relationship, that's gonna win every time.
Yeah.
What else we got? I loved how you mentioned. Go ahead, Gary.
Oh, and I would say with that, Chris, I really heard consultative sales and consultative relationships really equates to more than sales. When Matt's doing what he's doing, in my opinion, on the consultative side, man, that's better than any type of sales force you can have. If you can deliver a product where you're consulting to your customer, making them better, not thinking about yourself first. I mean, that's better than a sales force selling the same old thing that everybody else is selling, right? So,
yeah, amen. I loved your point on maintaining just the perfect level of stubbornness to achieve success as an entrepreneur. I think we all just, nope, I'm just going to keep doing it until this works. Damn it. You said you guys have seen a lot of benefit from the entrepreneur operating system. Your goal right now is to double your business in 5 years or so, and the operating system, EOS, sounds like it's playing a big part in reaching that goal.
Yeah, we're hoping.
Yeah. YPO gives you an unfair advantage with the people you'll meet and experiences you'll have. So, I think that's just an incredible achievement to even qualify for YPO and then to engage with it and really see the fruits of that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even outside of all this, the best thing you can do is raise great human beings. Whether they're entrepreneurs or teachers or garbage men, as Gary said, just as long as they're great human beings. And my final one, which I love, which was kind of a distillation of your core values, was work hard, do right by your clients, and don't be an asshole or a dickhead.
Yep.
Words to live by, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Matt, where can people find out more about you and Hirewell? And
Yeah. So we're in our business. LinkedIn is kind of our medium. We've got our whole teams on there, so you can follow me. Emails matt@hirewell.com, but our website's hirewell.com. So yeah, we're around. You can find us. So we're always happy to chat.
Appreciate you being on Ditch Digger CEO. And until next time, see ya.
All right, thanks guys. See you, Gary. See you, Chris. Bye.